And to be honestly, I mean, I know that many people want to come to Singapore and want to move here. I'm one of those who never wanted to move here. I really didn't like it for the first 5 years living here. So it took me a very long time, to get used to everything. And I remember for the first 5 years, I tried to leave every year. But then if life wants you to be somewhere, you just stay there. I didn't know like a single soul, except at that time, my late husband was an expat wife. This is how I arrived in Singapore 15 years ago. I know that for specializing for local people, expat lives often seem to be very glamorous, and they probably will be more glamorous 15 years ago because they had higher packages.
Yeah.
Exactly, for everything pretty much. But I heard it, and it's not just me, I heard it from many people. Maybe it's more women in that case who came like that they struggled with integration, right? Because in this particular scenario, let's say if it's a man who is being transferred, which is largely the case, especially in Singapore, for the jobs that they would hire, most of the time it would be a man who would come with the family. So a guy, I guess, would have immediately colleagues and jobs and tasks to do every day, right? And for a woman and for the family, it's an integration process. And so maybe then also if you have children, then it's an easier because you go to school and you meet maybe other parents, they're there. But if you move with a couple and you just kind of have to start from zero at the beginning. And I did find it to be tough.
How you solve it?
First, you just have to be proactive and curious. I mean, it's to understand that you are in a different place, you are in a different culture, you are in a different country, so you can't just stay with what you know. And I think it also applies, could be Chinese, Indian, Russian, American, German, French, whatever it is, right? So you can't really stay with your original culture in a new place. Because often when people move, they start looking for the local community that represents their culture of birth or culture they're familiar with. And I found in terms of integration, it doesn't really help that much because then you stay in the same bubble. You don't actually get to know what is happening in this particular place. And so I think it's just important to, actively go and meet people. And whether it is through job, if that's what you have. If not, then maybe again children, right? If you have like socializing through kids, for whatever reason you're not having either one or the other, then volunteering. I also done a lot of that. Like I volunteered always all kind of courses in Singapore at the beginning, and mentorship and all kind of things working here. If you are moving in a new country, you want to make the best out of it. And I definitely learned a lot from local people here, and they have been incredibly kind. And also maybe because I'm someone who moved around a lot, I don't like compare, but at the same time I can compare.
Yeah.
And I can say that out of all places I have lived in and been to, so Singapore, in my experience, is the least judgmental place from local people. Everywhere else, I would feel as a foreigner. You feel it. Yeah. People might not be aggressive towards you, but you always feel like an outsider. So, I definitely felt it in Switzerland or just in Europe in general. I definitely felt it in US. So even if you speak the language, if you, try to integrate and you do everything, people who are local people kind of always make a point to show to you that you are a foreigner here. And so to me in Singapore, it was interesting. It was my first experience where I didn't feel that. There was no hostility, there was no judgment, there was no sort of us versus them kind of thing. It was almost on opposite. It was more curiosity, and people were just genuinely curious and kind and helpful. And like they were trying to connect and understand. Yeah. So it was a very interesting experience. Maybe that's why eventually I think I stayed.
I think in New York it's even like double, because it's America and also it's New York. And
yes.
New York is special. We are New Yorkers.
We're New Yorkers, exactly. And you have to be born to be a New Yorker, right? Yeah. So if you are not, then you are not. Yeah. And yeah, but honestly in Zurich was the same, in Switzerland was the same. Like you're either Swiss or you are not. Yeah. Right? And I remember like even in Zurich, and I learned German language also. Okay, you technically, that's the other thing. Because in Switzerland they speak Swiss German, which is for some people language, for others considered to be dialect. Then if you go and learn German, you learn High German. It's still slightly or quite a bit of a different language. Yeah. But I did make an effort, so I learned it. I speak German. Didn't help. I remember still, like if you go, I don't know, in a bakery and buy bread, and if I try to speak in, in a High German, then a Swiss person would answer to me in a dialect, making point that I'm a foreigner. I'm an Ausländer. So it feels like you lose no matter what you do, right? Even if you make an effort to integrate and assimilate, it's hard.
I talked to my friends in Switzerland, and I say it's hard to get into the inner circle. The people will be polite to you, like in most of the cases, but to get to really be accepted, the community of Swiss people, it's hard. But is it not the case with Singaporeans?
I always say that in Singapore, there are like three spheres of people, or like three planets, kind of in a way, you know? So there are local people, there are expats, there are people who came here and as expats, but they stayed long time already. I mean, it's like 10, 15, 20, 30 years, right? So they're fully integrated, they have business here, usually fully integrated family. So to me, those three, they are like a parallel universes. So there's no war, there's no hostility between any, but they're self-sufficient. To your point, unless you really know people, it probably would not be easy to move from one sphere to another, because they all live their own life, they have their own socializing, they go to their own particular clubs, restaurants, events, right? They live in their own particular type of neighborhood. Like right now, I mean, we are here, so it's largely local, right? It would be Singaporeans living in this particular neighborhood where we're sitting at the moment. And then there would be like another neighborhood where expats are living. And then would be probably another neighborhood where expats who have been here for ages are living. So this is like a different type of people. And I remember when I just moved here, I would go, I don't know, some kind of events. I would meet, like let's say maybe those who used to be expats long time ago, but now they're locals, right? So because they stayed here a long time. And look, I would meet someone at the reception, for example, right? And then the person would be like, hi, how are you? What is your name? Where are you from? When did you arrive? And then sort of how long are you going? And then the question would be, how long are you planning on staying? Right? So are you an expat person? Are you here for 2-3 years? Are you leaving after this? And at the time, I was not sure how long I'm going to be staying. So, and I would say, I don't know, like maybe I'm going to be here 2, 3, maybe 5 years maximum, because that's what I thought 15 years ago, right? And then maybe I would leave. And then so the other person, very often happened to me, would tell me, oh, okay, so it was nice meeting you, Yana. And they would just turn around and walk away, literally. And at the beginning, I couldn't understand. I was like, well, that's bizarre, you know? And then much later, I understood when I myself went through three rounds of making friends in 15 years already. You know, right? No, because you arrive, you want to make friends, right? So you invest time and energy in getting to know people. And then on average, 2, 3, 4, maximum 5 years later, they leave. Because they're all here on contracts or something else, you know, they want to go back home. So, I mean, friendship is very short, you could say, you know, in terms of time-wise being in a physical physical space. And then, so I remember, like, I made friends, and then my first wave of friends left. And you know, you feel grief and you feel sad, and then you also have to go all over again through the whole process. New people arrive, you meet them, and you know, you make friends with them. 3, 4 years later, they leave, right? And then so I have done it, I think, 3 times, and after this, I'm not sure I want to make friends anymore, you know? So now I understand those people who have been here like 10, 20, 30 years, who kind of say, well, unless you're here for the long run, I don't want to invest time in you. Do you know what I mean? And sort of I feel that in a way, maybe right now I'm becoming like that myself, that sort of I socialize only with people who have been here for a very long time, because I know it's a stable investment in friendship. By now I'm a Singapore citizen after 15 years. So like I'm like a really sort of different example of that, you know. And I remember when I was going for the ceremony, which was very, very beautiful, like for the Singapore citizenship ceremony here, and I was the only blonde one in the room, so which was just, you know, even that was interesting. And then the minister was actually saying a very, very moving speech. I mean, I had tears in my eyes listening, you know, to him, because it was just so moving the way how he said it. And so he was saying that, you know, you can become a citizen of the country. There's like a different way how you can become a citizen. In most of the cultures, it's based on the language you speak, whether you're born on this place or not, whether you look like the majority of people or not, right? So it's most of the time that's how people choose whether you're a citizen or not, and whether you belong or not. This is what we're talking about, right? And here he was saying that in Singapore they decided to look at it differently. So if it doesn't matter where you're born, what language you speak, what religion you have, right? What do you believe in? What unites people that you believe in values that Singapore represents. You genuinely want to contribute. I don't know, that was very moving. Again, as someone who just moved around so much, so that may be the way it felt, that you accepted even though you are different. And I think not many cultures offer that. So Singapore is kind of unique in that sense.